Now, I'm going to try to draw a picture of the impact of last year relative to our longer-term results. So this is a confusing graph, but I'm going to try to make it fairly simple to make a couple key points. First of all, this is the fluctuation of our minimum capital test amount. So as a regulated financial industry, our regulator, FSRA, requires us to do an analysis of our capital and to show them on a quarterly basis that we are solvent. Basically, we have enough money to pay ongoing expenses and the value of the claim. So that's called our minimum capital amount. You will see it goes up and down, fluctuating there. Very simply, the low point across there is the start of every year, because we collect a bunch of premiums from lawyers who kind of prepay for the whole year, or we get the monthly installment. So we have a bunch of premium revenue in the bank account, okay, but it's not yet earned. We can't say that we are going to be able to use that against claims that are there today. As we go through the year, we earn that premium, we draw down that premium, and it makes our capital go up, okay? So that's the fluctuation up and down that you see. The gray band is our internal preferred range, and that ranges from 210 to 240%. Our actuary does an analysis. Our internal actuary does analysis, which is also shared with our external actuary, and our CFO does analysis called the Own Risk Self-Assessment, or ORSA. The FCT analysis is the analysis that the actuaries make, and basically they come up with a number that is reasonable, that they think is reasonable for us to have in terms of capital to cover any instance of claims. So they look at kind of ongoing claims expense, and then they do scenario analysis. What would happen if the stock market crashed 10%? Or what would happen if we were hit by 150 big claims all in 1 year? So the preferred range is 210 to 240%, and so we've kind of set that up, and we try to stay within that preferred range as we go along. You'll notice back in 2016, we went way high, okay? What did we do then? We lowered our premium by $300 to put some of the capital out. There's no profit taking. Every dollar extra goes back into keeping premiums down. That's a situation where we lowered the premium $300 back then. So you'll see here, normally at the end of the year, we end up towards the top of our range. Last year, we ended up at 227%, just kind of in the middle of the range, okay? Why? Because with investments and our decline in the bond, we lost money, we lost capital. However, with the interest rate increase, the value of our claims was lower because of more interest to elevate the value of the claims, kind of time value of money, the discount rate. So on the one hand, we go down because investment results, but that means there's more capital available for claims. So we kind of landed right in the middle. We're watching that. We're going to monitor it going forward. We're comfortable where we are today, is the good news. So LawPRO is in good shape financially. Now, I have down here IFRS 17 impact. January 1 this year, international financial regulatory standards, new accounting standards for all insurance companies across the world except America. The US, they ignored this rule change, so that we can all compare our financial statements equally across the board. Those apply starting this year. It's a completely new set of rules on how we do our financial statements, how we measure capital in our preferred range and all. So we're going to see some changes in the parameters that we need to comply with. The regulators are saying we're going to have industry-neutral application of the rules, but how do they apply to us? So we're kind of watching that, monitoring that. We don't yet know what those numbers are truly going to be. It's going to be later this year or even into next year before we know what the final results there are. So that's something we're watching there. 2022 claims, you can see we had 2,910 new claims reported to us. To put that a different way, that's 12 new claims every single business day of the year, somebody reporting a claim to us. and we hit 4,414 open claims. There's the long-term trend in claims open and claims reported. So you can see in 2020 we had a decline, significant decline of incoming claims because of the pandemic, reduced activity, the courts were closed, but we certainly, it didn't drop off really that much, and we're kind of back up. I think a bit of a rebound for 2021, and we're maybe settling into a new equilibrium for 2022. And long-term growth overall in terms of the number of open files. Now, that would be a concern, but remember I just said a second ago, every year we add about 2% to the number of insured lawyers for LawPRO. So the interesting thing is when we look at our frequency by fund year over the long term, over the last 10 years, and this goes back even further than this, in round numbers, each year, roughly 10% of our insured lawyers will report a claim to us. So that kind of tells us, yes, we're going along and there's the same thing happening in the background. So that's good news, and you can see the dip in the pandemic there in 2020. So steady, seems everything's good. We're still seeing the same proportion of claims come in. Resolution of claims, this has been fairly similar for a long time. Only 13% of the claims that we open ultimately result in an indemnity payment. That is a payment going to the client because the lawyer's negligence caused them some damage. 37% are closed at no cost whatsoever. Many of those are client was unhappy with the result or the fee or both, and there's a complaint or an allegation of negligence, but nothing there. So we kind of open those, watch them, monitor them. 50% required some kind of defense payment. That's us hiring our defense counsel to help navigate the situation. Not infrequently, it can be where there's a potential claim, but a little bit of extra work, a repair, what we call a repair, fix the problem. So maybe a deadline was missed or something wasn't filed properly. We will go out and do the repair work, remove any likelihood of a claim happening there. And quite frequently, if we do a quick and simple repair and there's no indemnity payment involved, we don't trigger a deductible or the claim surcharge levy in that instance. And those numbers have stayed fairly consistent for a long time. In the very distant past, indemnity payments were slightly higher, and the proportion between defense costs only and no costs were a little bit more proportional. In terms of average numbers of claims or costs, claims count is one thing, claims cost is another. Counts can go up and down, but it's the really big dollar claims that really impact the dollar, and relatively few can have a big impact. So you can see here that the average number of claims over 100,000 for the period 2016 to 2020 was up to 255. So that kind of the number of larger claims is going up over time. And you would kind of expect that inflation and otherwise, but kind of important to note. I don't have 22 and 21 there because we're still figuring out what those claims cost, but right now I think in 2022 we're probably looking at 275 claims ultimately that would be over 100,000. More importantly, the limit on the LawPRO policy is $1 million per claim, $2 million in the aggregate per year. We would see between 5 and 15 claims hit that $1 million limit in any given year. And obviously, if it's 5, that's $5 million that hits us at the end of the year. If it's 15, it's $15 million. So that's kind of how our overall claims costs can go up or down fairly significantly year over year. Claims by area of practice, kind of longer-term traditional mix here with some significant changes. Real estate and litigation have been the number one areas. Less litigation activity because the courts have been closed means we're seeing fewer litigation claims come in these days. Wills and estates are up to 17% of our claims portfolio. Look here at the longer-term trends. So there you can see when the Rule 48 issues were all out there, we saw a spike in claims, 200 to 250 more claims per year. Thankfully, we worked with the Ministry of Attorney General and the Civil Rules Group and so on to get the rules changed, and we saw a decline in the number of Rule 48 civil litigation claims. That bump is 2019, where just 2019 was a bit of an interesting year when claims up all around went up across the board. Some Rule 48 kind of subsequent claims coming in there. Then you see the impact of the pandemic and the closure of the courts and the slow reopening of the courts. Litigation dropped way down. Real estate kind of up and down. The other interesting one I want you to note is kind of the turquoise one. That's the wills and estates claim. Something we've been watching for a long time. It's completely a reflection of all the baby boomers out there passing on their real estate, usually the biggest significant asset that most people have, and a kind of a slow uptick in the number of wills and estates claims that we're seeing. So something we continue to watch there in terms of a growing area of significance for us. Claims by type of error. Some interesting changes here, I think in part influenced by the pandemic as well, but historically you've heard me say many times before, communications errors, poor communication, miscommunication, no communication, about a third of the errors, it's about a quarter last year. Inadequate investigation or discovery of fact, that error has doubled in the last decade. That's the kind of, it's a combination of a communication and lawyer's work error. It means that the lawyer didn't talk to the client or get enough information from the client to truly understand the client's circumstance and give advice that was proper in those circumstances for the lawyer. And we think that's quite simply a function of we're all doing more by email and by text and quick phone calls and quick Teams meetings. And that's just resulting in more situations. The lawyer didn't get all the information they needed to give the client the advice that was appropriate. Time management, 18%, error of law, 12%, and so on. Clerical errors, we've seen those go up slightly in the pandemic. And again, we think that's because people are working remotely and miscommunications are happening. Wanted to mention our excess program. So LawPRO has a fantastic excess program. That is a program that provides coverage above the basic 1 million and 2 million claim limits under the primary program. We launched this back in '97 to give small firms less than 50 lawyers, access to that extra level of coverage because they're not going to get on a plane and fly off to Lloyd's of London and get a policy. So it's really a great service to the mid-firms, small firms, and we had 118 new firms join us last year, which is great, and 3,925 lawyers at 1,689 firms. So great growth. Good to see that moving along. Title Plus. We've worked really hard to make some improvements to Title Plus over the last year. New website, better workflow, simpler underwriting, and really wanting to continue our long-standing support of real estate lawyers. We believe real estate lawyers are absolutely key in advising clients in what is, for most clients, the biggest transaction of their life, and very proud of the changes that we've made to Title Plus and the continued support we provide to real estate lawyers. If you're not a Title Plus user, please encourage you to do so and encourage other real estate lawyers you may know to do the same. I wanted to talk about our risk management resources. We continue to be proactive and try to help lawyers recognize when there may be a claim and that they hopefully take steps to avoid it. And the idea is a fence at the top of the hill is better than an ambulance at the bottom of the hill kind of thing. We've got updated malpractice claims fact sheets for 10 different areas of law. So in terms of types of errors and all, very much the same across different areas of the law, but there's little nuances in different areas of the law. So it's real estate, litigation, criminal law, family law, there's some specific advice for those different areas in our claims fact sheets. I encourage you to take a look at those. We continue to do presentations. We do about 100 presentations a year. on our own, out to law firms, at organized CPD programs. Important to get the LawPRO message, the claims prevention message out. All of our programs count for our risk management credit, which gets you $50 off your LawPRO premium, and you can claim 2 of those credits each year. So easy way, and there's a bunch of our programs that are free. So you can do a program and save $100 on your premium, which is great. We continue to reach out on Avoid a Claim blog with current news, and in particular, fraud is a growing concern. It's probably our biggest concern right now in terms of growing claims costs. We're seeing more real estate fraud. We're seeing more corporate ID theft fraud. We're seeing more instances of misdirected funds. So imposters hack into lawyer systems or client systems. They watch the emails back and forth, and on the day of closing, they send an email to the lawyer or to the staff person, purportedly from the client, or it may look like the lawyer sends the staff person that says, the money's being dispersed from the sale today, don't send it here, send it over there, right? And the emails come in, and if they hacked into the client's email system, the email actually comes from the client's email address. It looks like the client is sending changed instructions, and lawyers or staff send the funds off to that new, and that's how the fraudsters get the money. And now that we're sending them off by wire, it makes it much harder to pull those funds back. So we're going to be launching a campaign. We've been trying to tell people, understand this circumstance, recognize it, try to avoid that. We're still seeing too many people duped in these circumstances. So we're going to be launching a campaign to help lawyers know and recognize that situation. There are copies of our new fraud fact sheets to help you better understand them out at the table outside. So please grab a copy. And as always, a reminder, we're happy to come out to local law associations and do live events. I don't do it as much anymore, but Ray LeClaire and a bunch of other staff will come out, and we can do a general LawPRO presentation or an anti-fraud presentation, presentations specific to different areas of the law. We'd be glad to come out and speak in person. So lastly, wanted to show you, I'm biased, of course. I'm very proud of the work that we do at LawPRO. Since 2021, today, insured lawyers are paying less than they did 12 years ago on their LawPRO premium. And I challenge you to point out one other product or service where that is the case. We manage our program for stability, to keep kind of a level premium in the longer run. We survived one of the biggest financial downturns in a long time, and kind of steady as we go. We're very, very proud of that and all the work that we do to keep it. Where are we going from here? Turn the tape recorder off. I don't think we're going to see a premium increase next year, subject to IFRS, subject to a recession and otherwise, but I think we're in reasonably shape. Hopefully that's kind of steady as we go again for another year. So that's it. Formal comments. Any questions? Am I going to bring out an endorsement for lawyers who use AI in practice? Do you have 20 minutes? I'd love to talk about AI. I know Colin DeChance was here yesterday. There is an incredible amount of hype out there on AI, and unfortunately, people are getting the wrong impression. It's scary, amazing what it can do when you look at and digest trillions of words and of text. You get very good at predicting what the following word is for a particular sequence of text or words. And that's why when you say, can it draft me a legal factum, and it'll spit out a fairly decent legal factum, or questions for a discovery or something along those lines. But it's not understanding what it does. It just spits out that sequence of words, and in doing so, it will see and recognize the format of a case site. Okay, it's going to make up a case site because it's a letter and a number, a word, and it's in italics, and it'll just make up a case site. It doesn't know, it doesn't understand the information. So it's an interesting tool. I think the real opportunity for lawyers with AI is using it as a productivity tool to do the first draft of something for you, to kind of do some initial research. Eventually, it will replace some of us, no doubt, but I would suggest that's a little further off than some of the hype suggests today. And like any other technology, it's a tool that lawyers should know and use and understand as best they can. I think in terms of some of the other online services that are out there that are moving in on work that was traditionally done by lawyers, AI could be used as to make you more productive and more competitive with some of those alternative services. So, and doing a big issue of LawPRO magazine on ins and outs of AI and all is kind of on the list of things to do for the next year or so. Good question. Thank you. I believe I did. I know there's been at least one company here in Toronto providing legal research type AI services not on the LLM model, and probably more than one, and they've been running for about 5 years now. My question is, have you started to see any claims at all with current or past AI services? Okay, I'm not aware that LawPRO has seen a claim involving the use or misuse of AI to this point. I'm pretty sure that's the case. I will go back and ask and verify that that's the case. But no, we see more claims with misdirected emails and other things like that. All right.